Hanenbow's ultimate stages have been put to the test to see whether or not a mere human could survive them, and today, 25 more will get put through the ringer. I'm Goombanna, y'all are the freaks that keep requesting these, and this is the intro to the video. Not all intros can be winners. So let's talk, as we always do, rules for this video. 1, we are the size of a Mii fighter, even on the stages that play with scale. However, we cannot jump through platforms or double jump, and our jumping abilities are limited to only being able to clear a diagonal wide jump where the Mii lands on their feet and doesn't hang on to the edge. 2, so we face the same obstacles as the fighters, we can only navigate and interact with the level on the same 2D plane that the fighters can, aka we cannot move into the foreground or background. 3, for a stage to be counted as survivable, we must be able to last for 5 hours on it, and any outdoor stage over an altitude of 12,000 feet will not be counted as survivable for reasons covered in the first video. 4, every aspect of the background down to the angle will be taken into account when determining the survivability of a stage. And our newly added rule number 5 from the last video, stages where we are seemingly inside of a video game will not be automatically ruled unsurvivable. The court shall consider it under the assumption that it contains a livable atmosphere. Stages will be marked red for unsurvivable, blue for survivable but not crossable, that is if you cannot cross from one side to the other going both directions, and green for survivable and crossable. So let's hop into our next batch of 25 stages. Mario Brothers is a pretty straightforward level where turtles and crabs come out of the pipes at the top of the screen and make their way down to the bottom of the screen. While they are rather large turtles and crabs, they move at a pretty slow rate when unbothered, and you're able to jump over them. The real threat of the stage is actually the occasional fireball that spawns and crosses the screen, since that would be much more difficult to avoid. But thanks to my absolutely heroic stunt of saving Yoshi from a fireball, that totally wasn't just my panicked attempt to try to save my own skin, I actually discovered the perfect safe spot on the stage. Well, it was almost perfect. See, the fireballs always vanished right before that point, and it seemed like the crabs and Koopas would always go into the pipes at the bottom of the screen instead of passing them by. Except when they wouldn't. I couldn't figure out for the life of me how very rarely Yoshi would manage to get hit while babysitting that spot. I would be watching the creatures file into the pipes at 1.5 speed for minutes, never seeing one not going in. It actually wasn't until I reviewed the footage that I understood how they were getting to Yoshi in the first place. When I would pause to set the speed to either 1 or 1.5 speed, if I happened to do it right when a crab was going into a pipe with another one right behind it, it threw off the timing and allowed for the second crab to pass by the pipe, go off the screen, and appear on the other side of the screen. In that moment, I was a full-on detective. Sherlock's got nothing on me. But the point is, in real life you wouldn't be able to pause, therefore this glitch wouldn't exist, and you would be safe to stand in this one spot for all 5 hours. You can also cross along the bottom of the screen, so Mario Brothers is survivable. On to Hanenbow, and where are we? Well, I was pleasantly surprised to find that if you don't move, literally nothing happens at all. The leaves you're on don't fall, the Hanenbow never hit you, and we've already established that being in these weird amorphous game environments won't harm us. So then really the question is just, can we cross it? And honestly, I'm a little torn. Originally I thought you could stand on this branch on the left, so imagine my surprise when I jumped and passed right through it. So the farthest to the left we can get is this bottom leaf. We can't reach the next row of leaves up, so it's impossible to cross over to these leaves up here using our established rules. Now the relation of both of these leaves to the left side of the screen is pretty dang close. If you want to get really technical, we can see from this still frame that the top leaf does extend further than the bottom one. But we've lent grace to other stages in the past. Just because we can get further to the edge of the screen doesn't mean that we must to consider the meat of the stage crossable. I think of Yoshi's Island and Yoshi's Story, for example. Kind of weird that they're both Yoshi levels. But other times we've been more strict, like On It or Shadow Moses Island. In this instance, whether or not we count the bottom leaf or top leaf as crossing the entirety of the stage, I'm not bothered. So I'll leave it in your hands. If you think we should count making it to the edge of this bottom leaf as the stage being crossable, comment Hanenbrow. And if you think it shouldn't be crossable unless we can make it to the top leaf, comment Hanenno. Shut up, I love it. You can pause and do this now. It's okay if you leave another comment later. I don't want you to forget about this very important decision. Hanenbrow, Hanenno. I'll tally up all the comment votes and the stage will get an official color by the next video. For now, it's gonna be half blue, half green. Undecided. Hey yo, it's Big Frankie from Big Frankie's Playhouse Emporium, and you might be noticing the old mustache looks especially grown today. And that's because today's video is in partnership with Manscaped, the men's grooming brand trusted by over 12 million men worldwide. Father's Day is coming up, and let's be honest, Pops doesn't need another coffee mug or a best pop ever, short. Get him something he'll actually use. The Chairman Pro from Manscaped. The perfect Father's Day gift for the pops who deserves to look and feel his best. The Chairman Pro is a high-tech, data-proof grooming upgrade and electric foil face shaver that can tackle up to 5 days of growth. We're talking a 360-degree contouring head, 2 interchangeable skin-safe blades for a smooth shave of that classic distinguished gentle rat stubble. Flex Adjust technology, cause this guy's face ain't flat, so why should his razor be? This thing's waterproof to be easily cleanable, and pups will never be left not knowing how much juice the Chairman Pro's got left thanks to the digital battery display and up to 75 minutes of runtime on a single charge. That's a lot of juice. Manscaped also offers a 2-year warranty on powered devices. And you can use promo code Goombanna for 15% off your entire order. That's 15% off with promo code Goombanna at manscaped.com. Or if you need today, you can find a Manscaped store near you. Get over here. Onto the iconic Green Hill Zone from Sonic. It at first seemed incredibly tame, so much so that I let my guard down and started just hanging out in the middle, only to have a heart attack when the ground gave out right next to me. Whether this was a planned setup by Eggman or just a failing of South Island's infrastructure committee, who's to say? But if you just stick to the left side of the stage, you'll be absolutely fine. You can even cross the stage, but to ensure that the floor doesn't collapse beneath you, you've gotta go fast! Green Hill Zone is survivable. I was bamboozled into thinking that 3D Land was gonna be a stationary stage until, well, it started moving. I went with the flow, nothing seemed too difficult, though Link was really stepping on my heels here, until eventually I got to this part where I realized that I couldn't make that jump, which was, Link, please! Now I'm gonna, see, sure, of course you made it. It's the Yoshi incident all over again. Aside from not being able to get up on those platforms though, I did want to try the rest, and there were even more challenges after that. I was unable to get on top of the grating, there was this whole obstacle course that Link made absolutely infuriating. I can't even... You're infuriating! Transferring from the pipes to these platforms without jumping through the platform would be next to impossible. And then there was this insane maneuver. The whole thing was just utterly undoable, even if this lug weren't there. 3D Land is unsurvivable. Golden Plain stays true to its name by having 3 separate screens filled to the brim with coins that the camera pans between. And while none of the screens have any extreme dangers inherent to them, the biggest gimmick of the stage is that once you collect 100 coins, you turn gold, which is not great for the human body generally. I've come across 4 status changes attached to stages in the past, like in WarioWare, where if you succeed in the minigame you either turn metal or grow, but in that instance there were other things that made the stage unsurvivable, so I didn't really have to worry about it too much. But here we are again, face to face, with a 4th status change demanding to be confronted. So, like the brave creator I am, I chose instead to force my patrons to confront it by having a poll. In this poll, I asked if 4 status changes should be accounted for when determining survivability, with the options being A, we ignore status changes altogether, B, all status changes be considered unsurvivable, C, only composition-altering effects should be unsurvivable, but size-altering effects should be overlooked, and D, don't mind either way, just wanted to vote. And it was very close, but C pulled ahead by a narrow margin, meaning that metal or gold transformations are a no-go, but will look past growing and shrinking. Because of this, the stage becomes unsurvivable, because to stay alive you still need to move enough to stay on the screen when it moves, and even with minimal movement, that still means collecting a coin every now and again, which respawn. And if you have to collect a coin, even periodically, it's only a matter of time. Now hold on! Could we drop these gold coins so we never turn golden? An excellent question! No! I mean, maybe, but I'm gonna say no, and here's why. When the fighters collect 100 coins, their coin total goes back to 0. Why? They should have 101 coins, then 102. That's because these aren't your everyday currency. They're magical coins that get absorbed into the fighter. These fighters aren't putting 100 coins into their pockets and then using them to buy a golden custom shell of sorts. Look at this magical transformation. The 100 magic coins are accumulating to magically transform them into a golden beam. Then all the magic is used up, so they have to start at 0 again. So we too are absorbing these magic coins rather than physically keeping them on us. So Golden Plains is unsurvivable. The first concerning obstacle on the Paper Mario stage is gonna be this giant fan, though it's nothing too serious as you can walk against its wind blast, and can even just chill against this ledge so you have no need to move. Then the stage transforms into a ship, which again doesn't seem to present any major hazards. The large waves spawn on either side of the ship, and the blooper doesn't attack. The way of lifting the ship up would definitely be wild, but would it kill you? I don't think so. The final transformation to Bowser's Castle also has its share of dangers if you stay inside the rotating mouth, which eventually snaps shut, but you can pretty easily jump to either side's platform, which remains safe even after leaving the screen, which is kind of odd, but I'm not gonna question the blessing. Even as the Bowser part folds away and it converts back to the beginning of the loop, there's never a time where your feet aren't touching some surface, keeping you safe. So since you can make it through the entire rotation of obstacles, Paper Mario is fully survivable and crossable. I'm glad other people like this little section of Ocarina of Time as much as I did to call for it to be a Smash Bros. Stage. Because there's something about Gerudo Valley that's just so quaint. What's not quaint, however, is Kuma and Katake flying in and absolutely wrecking shop, either burning you alive with a field of fire that consumes one half of the stage, or spearing you with giant icicles that cover the other half of the stage. And there's no getting to safety because the bridge breaks long before you can tell which will attack, and you can't clear that gap. So even if you luck out a few times, with their constant visits, you're bound to get got at some point. Gerudo Valley is unsurvivable. We've talked in past videos about standing on fast-moving vehicles and how the air drag would send you flying right off the top, and Spirit Train is no different. Your best bet would be to navigate down in this little cart where the front car and the roof protects you from the wind. See, Link's got the right idea. But since the stage spawns you on top and directly next to the smokestack, you'd likely be immediately blinded by a cloud of smoke and go flying off the edge. Not to mention, this train is constantly getting assaulted by other trains, being rammed to either side, having carts fall on top of the train, and one exploding in front of you. You think a train exploding is gonna be a mild inconvenience? No. Spirit Train is unsurvivable. The Game Boy version of Dreamland is another stage that tricks you by making you think it's gonna be a stationary level before eventually going go, go, go!
Now we wait. We wait for that. Now we go! Keep holding my hand! Keep holding my hand!
And it's pretty much immediate disaster, as we wouldn't be able to make that first jump. Yeah, Kirby has no trouble though. The transitions in this stage seem to move much more quickly than other transforming stages, and while a lot of them are pretty safe, there are some that are pretty dangerous, and when you combine this with the quick transitions, that's pretty deadly. You know what else is deadly? Betrayal. But also, karma. You see what I mean about the quick transitions? Yeah, serves you right, Kirby. I want out of here. Dreamland JB is unsurvivable. Just like in Spear Pillar in the last video, more legendaries are attacking you in the Unova Pokemon League stage. And this time you know you're in trouble, because there's a Blue Eyes White Dragon. And it's that exact Blue Eyes White Dragon that's going to be the main cause for concern, since its fire abilities are a bit too unpredictable for me to confidently say you'd be safe for 5 hours. It never covers the full stage in fire, true, but there's no way to forecast which way the ginormous fire explosion is going to go based on its prior moves, so you're really kind of playing a 50-50 game here. You'd even have to take into account its initial central fire blast. So I'm gonna say Unova Pokemon League is unsurvivable. Prism Tower started out maybe doable, like a really fast-moving elevator, though I would still feel a lot better if you were strapped in somehow. But as that platform climbs the tower, it got more and more clear that this was not a survivable journey. The angles start to get pretty wild, and at the very top of the tower, the stage makes the shocking choice to leave you with a fall that could break both your legs. Prism Tower wants you dead, and it shall have it. Unsurvivable. Just like how Big Blue is unsurvivable because the F-Zero GX cars can reach speeds above 2,000 kilometers per hour, this stage is based on the SNES F-Zero game, and while those cars can only get over 500 kilometers per hour, or 310 miles per hour, that's still quite enough to knock you right off immediately. You can especially see the speed in those U-turns. Mute City SNES is unsurvivable. Magicant is a magical realm in the mind where things like altitude can't hurt us. In fact, pretty much nothing in this stage wants to hurt you, except for this Birdman who I accidentally triggered into a bloodthirsty rage, embarking on a never-ending war against Yoshi which endured even past Yoshi's death. It didn't end, it was terrifying, and I couldn't even hold him back. While this wouldn't be an issue with only one person since he seems to ally with the one who touches him, I still wouldn't risk looking at him the wrong way. But this one seems pretty safe otherwise. Also, while you can't jump onto the tree once it's grown, if you stand in the spot where it grows, you can reach the cloud on the right side, and same thing with the other objects as well on the left, so we can check Crossable off too. Magicant is survivable. Aw man, this poor crowd bought tickets to the wrong show. Like Pokemon Stadium, Arena Ferox transforms very slowly and safely, and all 5 different stage variations are boringly safe, and you can run across the stage no problem. I mean, listen, I like that it's safe. It works out in my favor, but I just hope these people didn't pull from their Haggis fund or whatever to buy tickets. Arena Ferox is survivable. With a name like Reset Bomb Forest, what could go wrong? Everything starts out innocently enough until the goddess of nature, Viridian, appears in the sky, says, "Good riddance, human scum, the world's better off without you," and drops a reset bomb. Not great for us. Reset bombs were introduced in Kid Icarus Uprising, where Viridian uses reset bombs to wipe out mankind and help return the Earth to its natural state, and honestly, spills an immense amount of tea in the process. Even Pit's like, she kinda ate. These reset bombs work by hitting the ground and then expanding into a massive brambly forest which no humans can enter. This obviously causes mass destruction to the humans in the area of the reset bomb going off too. Is it an automatic KO? Not necessarily. I say that because in Kid Icarus Uprising, you can find a couple soldiers trapped in the brambles of the reset bomb forest who are still alive. But she dropped it over an active war zone, so this is a couple alive soldiers out of how many? The survival rate is not great. And in the Smash Bros stage, Viridia withdraws the forest and then proceeds to drop another, and another, so on and so forth. So your chances of not getting stabbed by a pointy stick are slim to none, and therefore reset bomb forest is unsurvivable. I have nothing bad to say about Tortimer's Island. This will be so great. In fact, I'm so inspired that I took a page out of Captain's book and wrote a little song to talk about this stage instead. Rest in the sunshine, eat fruit by the load. Except the durians, they can explode. Coconuts can too. You kinda look like a coconut. Also watch out for sharks, take care as you dive. With these tips, you'll be fine, we can survive. We can survive. If you stand still, there's exactly one threat in the balloon fight stage, and that's the tiny sparks moving at a glacial rate across the screen. And I have full confidence in your abilities to avoid these sparks. The real issue is crossing the stage, because you can't reach the platform above you, and if you thought like I did that you could perhaps just swim across, joke's on you. You get eaten by a fish. This fish is fast too. Though with only this thrilling scenery to look at all day, I can't really blame it for jumping on some action. Balloon fight is survivable, but not crossable. Now we've already established that scaled up stages are fair game, but this is a big dog. Luckily, this dog poses absolutely no threat. It's really doing its own thing in the background. In fact, I'd say all we really have to look out for is when the dog throws his toys, because otherwise it's like we don't exist most of the time. And if you thought we couldn't get ignored any harder, sometimes it's a cat. Really, the only actual danger is the falling blocks and toys, but before they fall, they hover over where they're forecasted to fall for a reasonable enough time where I think you could pretty easily move out of the way. And when the stage is blockless, crossing it is no problem either. Living room is survivable. Who is this? Are you okay? Okay, well, no time to worry about them, I guess, because we've got to focus on our own survival. It's harsh, but it's a dog-eat-dog world. Except this dog. It's a dog-eat-bubble world for them. Back to the stage, my dragon misfortune continues as the Dark Emperor, as he's called, takes the stage. This dude makes our lives a lot harder, because he can not only randomly crumble either platform, and you can't reach the one on the right anyway, but he can lunge out on the platform you're on and then make his way across, attacking as he goes. And you can't just pass by this guy either. Honestly, I'm starting to envy our bestie in the cage. Find me is unsurvivable. Okay, y'all, I fear that if you stay on the roof of Tomodachi Life, absolutely nothing happens. I could tell that the gimmick was that the walls would become transparent if you moved in front of them, since Donkey Kong's inability to stand still was triggering the mechanic, but to survive this stage, we really wouldn't need to move at all. And I could cross it just fine on top of the roof. But I am pretty nosy, so I just want to take a quick peek at what was happening in this mystery building. We had a girl either doing some neck rolls or being possessed by her very haunted doll, a businessman desperately clinging to his youth via his decor and doing whatever this is, a rich white woman alone in a room just disapproving. That tracks. I don't even want to know. This feels offensive. I like the horse poster though, that's nice. Donkey Kong move? Donkey Kong move? What? I made a mistake, we gotta get out of here. Tomodachi Life is survivable. Pictochat 2 is like WarioWare in that it sporadically plays an interactable event from a list of 26 different event possibilities, and this is one of those levels where I have to spend an hour recording to make sure that I get every single event. So much fun. These little doodles play by weird rules too. Whether or not these drawings are on the same plane as you are is questionable and fickle. Sometimes you can't walk through them. Sometimes you can. Sometimes they affect you. Sometimes it doesn't affect you until you move. All in all, most of them are harmless. But there are some events that are pretty unavoidably deadly. The car event, for example, which takes me right back to WarioWare, or the giant shoe stomping down, which every once in a while can be spiky. The tornado that crosses the entire stage would also be pretty deadly. All in all, I'd say you wouldn't be able to last 5 hours on this stage without some hazardous event popping up, which is why Pictochat 2 is unsurvivable. Mushroom Kingdom U is a wild ride fueled by Kamek placing you in different settings with different platform types. Is Kamek actually teleporting you to different places or just creating the illusion of different places? Unclear. But the obstacles we run into are certainly real enough to affect us, so we'll look at those. Now there are plenty of dangers, giant icicles falling from the sky, geysers that pierce through platforms, etc. But by and large, the #1 risk to both me and Link was Nabbit kidnapping us and flying off the screen. Nabbit was the worst, always menacingly awaiting our arrival only to sprint towards and bag us. It was insanely hard avoiding this guy, and most of the time it felt like a fluke if I was successful. And yes, you could punch him, but getting within punching distance means getting within nabbing distance. Am I saying I couldn't take Nabbit in a fight? No. What I am saying is I wouldn't know I had to take Nabbit in a fight, and all it takes is one. Mushroom Kingdom U is unsurvivable. Alright, Mario Galaxy. We can't survive in— Ooh, I actually have some terrible news for you. There's no way you were about to say we can survive a level set in space. I know this seems strange, but hear me out. I think you could breathe on this planet. Elaborate. Okay, so this stage is obviously meant to be the Gateway Galaxy from Super Mario Galaxy. And the Gateway Galaxy actually has quite a few indicators that it contains oxygen. Now, Mario being able to breathe on this planet matters 0% to me. You think I trust a character who can indefinitely hold his breath underwater in some games to accurately reflect the human lungs? No, the games are way too inconsistent with Mario's abilities for me to compare him to a human in this particular case. Instead, one of the things that intrigued me about this planet is the blue glow it has around it. The same blue glow that we see around the planet Mario just came from in the background, and the same blue glow that Earth has. This glow can be an indicator for a few things. One, it indicates that the planet has an atmosphere, which not all do. Two, the glow being blue is a good indication that it has a relatively clear atmosphere made of small gas molecules capable of Rayleigh scattering, which is where sunlight scatters off the molecules of the atmosphere, the blue light with the shorter wavelength being scattered more strongly than the others and thus appearing blue. The small gas molecules that are most efficient in Rayleigh scattering are nitrogen or oxygen, which is why the Earth has a blue glow, though the blue glow isn't a guarantee that oxygen is present. 3. The blue glow also indicates a low dust and haze content in the atmosphere, as well as a moderate atmospheric pressure. For instance, Mars's thin carbon dioxide atmosphere and large amounts of dust don't cause enough scattering for a blue glow, and Venus's thick carbon dioxide atmosphere and clouds of sulfuric acid absorb the blue light and make it appear whitish yellow. But again, a blue glow is not a guarantee of oxygen, just a clear atmosphere with small gas molecules. There's also a body of water on this planet, and the fact that the water is in a liquid form not only backs up this planet having a moderate atmospheric pressure, but ensures that it is between 0 and 100 degrees Celsius, because liquid. Then we have the plants. Plants produce oxygen as a byproduct of photosynthesis, so would this be a guarantee that the air was breathable? Well, we can't completely rule out the possibility that these are alien plants that wouldn't perform oxygenic photosynthesis, but would have some other way of feeding themselves. I mean, after all, we don't have these balloon plants on Earth. And even if they were using oxygenic photosynthesis, that doesn't necessarily mean that they're producing enough oxygen to sustain life. So the blue glow, the presence of water, and the plant life are all pretty dang good indicators that oxygen is present on this planet, but there's one thing that when combined with all these other points really locks it in. Butterflies. Butterflies, like humans, are aerobic creatures. They need oxygen for cellular respiration. Not only this, they're a flying creature, and flying is an extremely energy-intensive activity that requires them to intake significantly more oxygen. These little guys also help us further narrow down what temperature the atmosphere is, since butterflies are cold-blooded and won't fly unless it's at least 50 to 59 degrees Fahrenheit. So the combination of all these factors leaves me feeling confident that this is likely an oxygen-rich, fairly warm environment, meaning that you can both cross Mario Galaxy and survive it. But back on Mario's home planet, we've got to look at Mario's circuit. And believe it or not, these angles actually aren't as wild as they look. It's actually the track that's flipping upside down and all around here. That's why I have to disregard gravity in my Can I Run Through Mario Kart series. If you look at the background, you can see the landmass that we actually need to compare our angle to. And for the most part, it does stay pretty consistently upright. But there are just a couple spots where the angle gets a little too zany for comfort, and the platform is moving relatively quickly too, with no grading on the floor to hold on to like on the Delfino Plaza stage. So I think this one would still be too tough to hang on for in real life, and I am calling Mario Circuit unsurvivable. And then Skyward Sword really just said, safety violations? Who's she? Because this ride is insane. Clearly unsurvivable. But what's that altitude look like though? I gotta know. How high up is Skyloft? There's no straightforward answer to this, and we're actually gonna have to patch some clues together to get some semblance of an answer. We can't base it off the fact that the people of Skyloft survive up there because 1, they're acclimated, they were all born there, and 2, they're not human beings, they're Hylians, so their systems could work differently. We also can't base it on the clouds, really, because as we've seen previously, there are clouds from sea level to 60,000 feet, with cumulonimbus clouds able to appear throughout all of that distance. So this is a bit scuffed, but the scene in Skyward Sword where Zelda pushes Link off the edge before having to go and collect him lasts about 37 seconds, give or take a little for the dialogue timing. That's 37 seconds of Link being in free fall where he doesn't approach the main cloud barrier, since the people of Skyloft hadn't gone to the surface before Link set about his journey. Then a later cutscene where Link first descends to the surface from just above the cloud line is roughly 28 seconds long. So that's about 65 seconds of free falling from the edge of Skyloft to the surface, though I don't know what altitude this particular area falls under. The World Air Sports Federation claims that in a stable belly-to-earth position, terminal velocity of the human body is about 120 miles per hour, which would be 53.6448 meters per second. Also, I know that's the human body, but believe it or not, they don't have a statistic for Hylian bodies, so we'll have to make do. So we multiply that number by the number of seconds that Link was free falling, and we find that he fell approximately 3,486.912 meters, or 11,440 feet. Just under our 12,000 foot altitude limit for these videos. But that also begs the question of what the altitude of this area is. I would definitely count Lake Floria as sea level, but it's tough to tell whether or not the very bottom of the sealed grounds would be on par with that or not. So I will have to keep questioning it, unless someone can shed some light on another reference point that can clue us into a more accurate altitude. But one thing I'm not questioning is that there's still no way that you're making it out of this stage alive. Skyloft is still unsurvivable. So that's 25 more stages down and only 1 more round of regular stages and then the DLC stages to go. As long as y'all still want to see more. I'm not trying to force feed anyone. But for now, which of the stages we covered today sound like a good time to you, or which seem like a really bad time? I appreciate y'all tuning into another Surviving Smash Bros. And now, if you'll excuse me, I've gotta run before Nabbit catches up to me. But I'll see y'all in the next one. Bye!
Goombanna is the wonder why she didn't come to play. Gaming vids that'll make you laugh and think and put them on replay. Intelligent, kind of funny, her community's #1. Stick around and kick your feet up. Goombanna has just begun.